If you can't be with the one you love, should you love the one you're with? Years ago, I wrote a column, and I mean like 20 years ago or more. I quoted that line from the Rolling Stones song, right? If you can't be with the one you love, then love the one you're with. And I said I couldn't disagree more. Don't waste your time. But with age comes wisdom. And I have a different take on that now. I actually think you should forget about the one you love and focus on trying to love the one you're with. Welcome to my Broken the Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes. And today I want to talk about when you're dating somebody that maybe you're not all that crazy about, but they're kind of perfect for you on paper. But you're not all that into them because maybe you're really crazy about somebody else that you're still hung up on, or that you can't have, but that you think you really connected with, but is in one way or another not available to you. I think this happens a lot. And personally, it has happened to me that, one of the greater loves of my life, I lost because when I met him, I was very distracted on somebody else that I thought was more appealing, but was highly unavailable, lived far away, like long plane ride away. And it just really wasn't practical. And as much as we really connected, we both ended up meeting other people. But I couldn't stop thinking about him. And we were still communicating, which was really the biggest piece. If you know that you can't be with the one that you're crazy about, you really need to stop communicating with them, because all it's doing is preventing you from being happy in today. And you have a choice, right? You can be in love with the ghost of the person that you're crazy about, or maybe you can be open to falling in love with the person who's actually available to you and wanting to be with you and showing up for you. Because in my particular relationship, unfortunately, I waited far too long to let go of the ghost of the guy that I was crazy about, that I'd really had amazing chemistry with and just intellectually connected with the whole nine yards, right? But he was unavailable to me, at least full time. So I really took way too long to focus on the wonderful man that was in front of me, who was really good to me, who I was attracted to. And we knew best friend, was really having a great time with. But I just kept kind of dismissing him because I really thought that I could get the other guy, even though I knew I couldn't. In fact, he actually got married, right? So then at that point was when I finally started really seeing the guy that was crazy about me and that was showing up for me. But unfortunately, by the time I really genuinely fell for him, and I genuinely fell for him, he was so angry at me that I'd really been kind of checked out that he left me. And I tried to get him back, but he actually said to me, I don't know that I'm ever going to get past this. And he never did. So that's my entire point to you. If there is somebody that you really connected with, that you're pining for, and that your thoughts you're ruminating, like I like to call that the highlight reel, right? You run the memories of all the great things that you did together, but they're not in your life and they're not showing up for you, but you have somebody else that is. I want to really encourage you to focus on the person that's available to you, and try not to run that highlight reel of the other person, because they're not showing up for you. And who knows what might happen down the line. But if you fall in love with the person that's falling in love with you, does it really matter? I mean, the pursuit of happiness is finding your best friend that you can't keep your hands off of, right? I mean, to me, that's the holy grail. That's, to me, the sign of a great relationship. So if you've found your best friend, but the person that you can't keep your hands off of isn't available to you, stop thinking about them, because that's the only way you're going to get to a point where you can't keep your hands off of the person that's actually showing up for you. So, yeah, if you can't be with the one you love, then love the one you're with. And it takes a little bit of effort, but your thoughts do create your feelings. And if you really start fantasizing and thinking sexy thoughts about the person that you're with, you will start really caring about them. I promise you that you will. But you've got to get the other person out of your mind first. And unfortunately, people pine for years and decades over somebody that they once had and no longer have, or that they like connected with on a brief thing and never really had. But that's the bar that they've set for themselves, that that's what they want. So I guess ask yourself, do you want the ghost of somebody that you can't have that really makes your heart flutter? Or the person who's actually in front of you that, if you give them the opportunity, can also make your heart flutter? And I promise you, that is true. You need to cut all contact with somebody that is not actively showing up in your life. And that little fix that you get from communicating with them is really doing harm to the relationship that you're actually in. And you'd be better off cutting that relationship off so that you can really see the person in front of you. We don't always get what we want, right? And with that theme in mind, especially, people, because people have free will. We can't make anyone love us, try as we may, right? And the more needy you get and the more you chase after somebody, right? You always hear me say, if you chase something, it runs. And that is exceptionally true with somebody who's in and out of your life, who's really, maybe attracted to you, but not really available, or has got something else going on, or someone else in their life that they're committed to, right? I mean, geez, years ago, I had a woman come to me for coaching to have me help her get her boyfriend to leave his wife. And I talked to her for several hours, right? And all she kept coming back to was how amazing he was and how he was this amazing person. And I kept saying, but he's not yours. But he was hers part-time. But that's exactly what was confusing for her, because she thought that he was going to leave his wife. But honestly, if he wanted to leave his wife, he would have left his wife already, especially they'd been seeing each other for a couple of years. I mean, if this is you, if you're the other woman or other guy in a relationship with somebody who's married, they're not going to leave their spouse for you, because they would have done that already. If they were really unhappy in that relationship, they would have gotten out. And I know people stay for all sorts of other reasons, like, kids and all sorts of other stuff. Although I think it's a massive mistake to keep a marriage together because of kids, because parents are the paradigm of love for their kids. And two parents who don't love each other, or if they fight, or they're just really not emotionally attached to each other, that's what they're teaching their kids. So staying together for the kids, I think, is a horrible idea. You are not helping the kids by teaching them that that's what a loving relationship is, right? I mean, honestly, when I was a kid, I never really saw my parents kiss. In fact, I'm not sure I ever did see them kiss. But I used to go across the street and play with the girls across the street, and their dad would come home and kiss their mother. And I vividly remember thinking, wow, my dad doesn't do that, right? And that's exactly my point. And honestly, my very first boyfriend, I mean, the guy that I really my first real love, we'd been together for about almost a year. And he came over to my house and broke up with me. And I was upset, and I did cry, right? And then he drove around the corner and he came back and he said to me, I'm just kidding. I don't want to break up. And I was like, what? And he said, well, I didn't think you cared. I was going to break up with you. And I said, what? I was like, I love you. And he said, you don't act like it. And that's my entire point, that two parents that didn't really show love to each other taught me that even when you love somebody, that's how you behave. And at this point in my life, yeah, I've learned to really openly love somebody, but it has to be somebody that I'm really into, right? Which goes back to my original point of loving the one you're with. Because the guy that I said I took too long to really fall for him, we're great friends to this day. And, we occasionally hook up here and there, right? So it's really like two ships that it's like timing is everything, right? And unfortunately, he could have been the guy that I would have spent the rest of my life with, but I was too distracted by somebody else when I met him. So that ship sailed, right? Like you only get one chance to make a good first impression, they say, right? So if when you meet somebody, you're not fully present because you're wishing that you had somebody else, trust me, they know that. They know if they are not the object of your desire. So you really need to make a decision. What do you want? The ghost of the person that you can't have, or the person who's in front of you that you can have? And if you stop choosing to believe that you don't want them, or that you're not as attracted to them, or you're not as connected to them, or whatever it is that you're telling yourself, you might actually really fall for them. And I've seen that happen many, many times. I can't even tell you how many times people have come to me for coaching and they tell me about some best friend that they have of the opposite sex that is everything that they want in a partner, but they're just not attracted to them, right? And I encourage everyone in that position to decide that they could be attracted to them and explore that. Because I promise you, your thoughts create your feelings. And if you decide that you want to really engage with somebody and you put their attention on them and flirting, I think is so effective. And most people don't do it, right? Really making eye contact and getting in someone's personal space a little bit and really intentionally paying attention to them can send a message to them that you're interested, which can cause them to like you, right? Studies show it's easier to fall for somebody that already cares about you, right? If you know that someone likes you, it's much easier for you to fall for them, right? So that's what I'm suggesting. If you're with somebody that's perfect on paper, but for whatever reason you're not really attracted to, or you're just not as connected to, or because there's just somebody else that has your attention but is not available to you, I highly recommend you choose to stop thinking about the person that's not available and focus on trying to fall in love with the person who's in front of you, because you might be pleasantly surprised that you are happier than you even thought you could be. Because, I mean, look, we all want to fall in love with our best friend, right? So if someone actually is your best friend first, then how wonderful if now you actually are also very attracted to each other. And that starts with your thinking. And you might just have a happy relationship. If you like my videos, I want to ask a favor, and you could help me out by hitting the like button underneath the video. I'm just not great at self-promotion, right? So if you could do me a favor and hit the like button, hopefully that will help more people get to see it too. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next episode.